Instagram has become my top referral source for growing my speaking business. Whether this has been virtual summits, in-person conferences, private coaching and workshops inside groups, or even podcasts. I'm here to tell you this absolutely can work for you no matter what type of brand you have, even if you have a small audience, and no matter what your goals are with speaking, whether it's to grow your client roster, whether it's to sell products, or just build expertise and authority within your industry. Here are just a few of the incredible opportunities I've been able to attract just by using Instagram and the tips that I'm going to share with you in this video. If we haven't already met, I'm an Instagram strategist, and I really started as a social media manager, and I really evolved my brand to be a personal brand where it's really allowed me to step into this role as being a speaker, a thought leader, and a content creator. So before I dive into the 4 ways that you can grow your brand using speaking and Instagram, I feel like it's really important that we establish what exactly is speaking. Essentially, it's you teaching or talking on a topic that you know really well. This can be more storytelling, inspirational, it can be workshop style, teaching style, but essentially what it is your speaking stage can be just about anything. It can be summits and conferences, or it can be something like podcasts, which I actually find are the best, most strategic type of stage you can add into your brand awareness machine in your marketing strategy. So yes, being a speaker is really cool. There's kind of a lot of clout that goes around with that, but most importantly, I'm teaching this from a perspective of speaking has helped me grow my brand and my business. When I started adding speaking into the mix, this is actually when I hit my first 6-figure year, and it's been a consistent way that I've actually been able to make money, whether I'm getting paid as a speaker or it's helping me get really great client leads and build my own Instagram audience as well. I feel like that's not something enough people talk about, is that to grow your Instagram, sometimes you have to start outside of Instagram. The first way that you can start to attract dream speaking opportunities on Instagram is update your bio and profile accordingly. You want to make it really clear that you are an educator, a thought leader, or a speaker, and you want to use this through your bio copy. You also want to clearly communicate what you're an expert at and what you would possibly be teaching on, and exactly who you serve through your education, your philosophies, and your methodologies. Along with that, you want to build out a highlight that essentially is going to be your speaker reel. This is where all the events that you're a part of, the podcasts you're a part of, should be under, so people can easily tap through it and see you in action and really build that social proof. Keeping in mind that this doesn't need to be anything really fancy or really big. It could quite literally be you speaking on your own podcast or in your own events or summits or guest coaching inside a group of friends. While your goal might be to land paid speaking engagements, which I think is so incredibly important, sometimes you gotta start somewhere, and that could mean doing a few things for free to really build out that social proof on your Instagram story highlight. Also, in the name part of your bio, this is searchable. So you wanna include keywords on the topics that you would be speaking about. So for me, it could be Instagram strategy, video tips, or content strategy. So when people search that in Instagram, my profile is going to come up, and this could be a really great thing to do if people are just looking for speakers and your name happens to pop up. And the last element you want to optimize in your profile and bio as a speaker is to add in a very easy way to contact you in your link in bio. For me, I have it in my link tree. I have my little email icon, and I also have it clearly on my website in my speaker page and in my contact form. So there's really no way that you would not know how to contact me, but I cannot tell you the amount of times as a podcast host myself that I go to reach out to someone and I literally cannot find their email. So this is very, very important. My second tip for landing speaking gigs using Instagram is to start sharing about you speaking. And going back to what exactly speaking is, you can quite literally start speaking right on Instagram. Live streams are your own little webinar, your own space to teach and educate and inspire people, and essentially show people what you would be like in a live setting, to show your speaking skills and also develop them if that feels a little bit intimidating to to you. By going live, it has really helped my speaking skills. And also I have gone live, seen a conference that I've been eyeing and wanting to speak at, join, and then literally book me right afterwards for a paid speaking engagement. So this absolutely works. Other ways you can share this is when you're on podcasts, when you're part of summits, conferences, guest speaking, anything under that speaking umbrella, you want to constantly be sharing about to really show people, yes, I do this on your stories, save those to highlights, and also on your feed posts. For example, I went to social media marketing world as a speaker, but I also made a reel about it. I was posting on stories about it. So I made it very known that I am a speaker on Instagram and I do this whether it's in person, traveling, or virtually. It really builds your credibility and authority regardless of where you're wanting to speak. And like I mentioned before, you can create your own stage. So for me, that looks like having my own podcast where I'm able to interview guests. This also could be hosting your own summit. I've hosted my own summit called Hot Instagram Summer. So I really show what I'm like in terms of coordinating, figuring out topics, promoting. All of that are things that people look at when booking speakers. My third tip, which is very important, is create high value content that really positions yourself as an authority, as an expert, and as a thought leader. When I'm looking at guests that are going to be on my own podcast, their Instagram page is one of the first places I go to see what methods they're talking about, what their values are, what content has performed well that maybe could be translated into a podcast episode. And if I don't see that, I'm really unlikely to have them on my show. And I can guarantee you other podcast hosts and summit hosts think the exact same way. So when you're thinking of content as a speaker, you want to easily think, how can this topic be turned into a keynote, into a workshop, or into an interview, or at least a part of one of those elements. And this also goes along with your delivery. So even if you're doing a carousel graphic, showing essentially what your presentation slides would look like I mentioned, lives is one of the best ways to show how you're going to engage with an audience and a group. It's also a great way to maybe have guests on, so getting some more brand awareness, building authority with other authorities in your industry. And of course, reels and any type of video, but not just trends, but literally talking to camera, explaining something, and really sharing your unique perspective on something that you would want to speak on. Like I mentioned again, I think Instagram is the perfect place to develop those skills. If you feel like maybe you're still developing your voice, you don't know how to speak on camera, this is going to help you when you speak at that virtual summit or you're on the Gold Digger podcast, for example. Speaking of the Gold Digger podcast, I literally had Jenna Kutcher, yes, Jenna Kutcher, reach out to me and say that one of my reels really caught her eye as she was binging and lurking on my Instagram page. And that was actually what inspired the conversation I had on her podcast, which was a dream to be on. So that is literally a perfect example of, even if you think those event coordinators, those podcast hosts, those really big brands aren't watching, you need to be showing up like you are that expert, that speaker, and who knows, they might be lurking and then book you from it. So along with teaching and training via story mini trainings or live kind of webinar style live streams, there's two pieces of content that I really want you to think about when rethinking how you're showing up on Instagram as an authority. The first being opinionated content. And this can feel really uncomfortable to lean into, especially if you don't know your own unique perspectives. You got to kind of discover that first. But controversial opinions, unique takes on things that just aren't really popular. Unpopular opinion posts are always my top performing pieces of content because it really shows how I have my own unique thoughts that are going to add something different to whatever stage I'm speaking on. This also could be debunking common beliefs or just really creating your own unique brand experience and how that would look translated virtually or in person. And the other type of content you want to create more of is your methodologies. What is your unique way of thinking about something or doing something? How is that intertwined with your own value system? And how does the ideal person that you're wanting to speak to going to connect and resonate with that? The best conversations and keynotes and workshops often are stemmed by a really strong framework. 3 steps to doing something. This step to really seeing a transformation. So by already showing that in your content, it's going to be really easy to translate that into an incredible talk on a stage. And if you're watching and you are a product business, a brick and mortar, or something outside of the realm of coaching or education, this absolutely applies to you as well. In fact, I think there is such a need for product brand CEOs to start stepping up and being on stages. And all of these content ideas can be applied to you. And the 4th and final way to grow your brand and attract speaking engagements right on Instagram is to network. I think we often forget that Instagram is social media and social media is meant to be social. So from the beginning of using the Instagram app, I used it as a place to network and connect with people. And I think it's really important to say when you're networking, you never want to start your networking relationship by wanting something from someone, whether it's a connection or to be on their podcast. You really want to start by just connecting with them, being a human, starting conversations, getting to know their brand, getting to know their audience, and really just connecting, and even better yet, collaborating on pieces of content like lives or even collaborative reels or carousel posts. Networking is so important because when people know other people, you are going to get referred to opportunities. And I also like to look out when other people I know that maybe are in similar industries or on certain podcasts, speaking at certain events that I maybe never heard of. And then I follow those events, those accounts, and start to engage and get to know them. That's the other side of this networking coin, is you want to be sure that the brands, the summits, the podcasts you want to be on, you are following them and you are engaging them, even if you don't think they're watching. I was able to speak on LaterCon because for years I was sharing that I used and really loved the Later scheduling app because that was a really big goal for me. Eventually they started DMing me back. Eventually they followed me back. And then we really built that relationship, which led to me speaking at LaterCon and doing a few other collaborations with them. A really good starting point is actually going to those events and listening to those podcasts. That's something else a lot of other people look at, is making sure that you actually know that brand really well. I cannot stress this enough of really using Instagram to network and connect, because you never know what opportunities might come from it. So just to recap the 4 ways that you can start booking paid speaking engagements for podcasts, summits, conferences, all by using Instagram, no pitching needed, is first of all, optimize your bio, make it really clear that you are a speaker and how to contact you. Then you gotta get into the habit of sharing when you are speaking, even if it feels really small or even if it's on your own stages. The 3rd step is creating really high value content that's really easy to envision how this could become a keynote, a workshop, or an interview. This also really helps you develop your speaking skills and show what you're like as a speaker. And lastly, use Instagram to network. Connect with the brands and summits you want to speak on, but also connect with other speakers and authorities and podcast hosts, and just nurture those relationships because you never know what connections might lead to. Inside my 3-month mastermind, the Instagram Authority Mastermind, I teach female entrepreneurs how to do exactly this, how to land speaking engagements, how to be seen as an authority on Instagram, and how to consistently land the dream opportunities that you have, whether it's through live launching or through partnerships. If you're in that season of scaling and growing and this aligns with your goals, be sure to check all the details in the description. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.